and Tom Hollander is with me now. Welcome. It's a very enjoyable film. I mean, a completely ludicrous fantasy. The idea that this country could be conned into going to war on the basis of a dossier that had been fiddled around with.
Yes.
It's just referred to as the Middle East, isn't it? Not Iraq.
Yes, it's an unspecified government and an unspecified war.
Irad, or somewhere like that. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Were you aware when you were making it just how topical it was going to be? Or was it a sort of history piece looking back?
Well,
at
it's
Iraq
obviously
period?
the war had already happened, hadn't it? The war that it might possibly refer to. So we were aware of that, but it appears to be prescient in a way that's just bizarre now. Just the last few weeks with the revelations of the porn stuff in the expenses and now.
It's a film full of the most extraordinary, aggressive bullying. I mean, you know, and you're mostly on the wrong end of that. I wonder when you're making the film, the extent to which everything is scripted, or whether you're kind of going with the characters.
It is scripted, and we're also allowed to go with the characters, which is the perfect scenario, really. So there's a very, very good script, which you've always got to rest on. Already a better script than I generally have read when it comes to comedies, and then you're allowed to say anything. You're given the opportunity, once you've nailed the scripted version, to do anything that you might have thought of as you were doing it. So it's kind of...
It's great lines in it. I love the one about about opera being just vowels, subsidised foreign vowels.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. There's many more like that.
It's full of brilliant writing,
It's also very, we should warn people, it is possibly the most foul-mouthed film I've ever seen. Very rude indeed. You quite often play people who are kind of on the receiving end, don't you?
Sometimes I do. I've seemed to swing between doing that and then playing inhuman, villainous people, which I've also done my fair share of. But at the moment, this one is certainly about being somebody who gets, things dropped on him from a great height.
Now, the other thing about this film is it's sensationally successful in the States at the Sundance Festival, which has become the alternative Cannes, I suppose you could call it, and made with almost no money, 3 million or whatever it was, but on a very small budget.
Yes, well, it's not, you look at it, it doesn't look like an expensive film. I think a lot of the money actually went on writing. It has 4 writers, or
that's so
5.
great.
That is.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have car chases or explosions or desert sequences. So it doesn't need a lot of money for that. It's all set in offices with strip lighting and rather tawdry environments, which seems to be the world that it's depicting.
Yeah. I mentioned, you know, the kind of roles you play, and Mr. Collins we remember from Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley you're up against that. But I suppose the one that would perhaps surprise people most, looking at you on the sofa, is George V, where, I've watched this before and I've watched it again, and I can't tell it's you, as it were.
Well, that's good. Thank you very much. I think that's also makeup and a lot of facial hair.
And a deep voice. I mean, you do think of your voice.
I had to change my voice. That's true, yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay, well, having heard you do that,
it's a technical thing.
A technical thing. Thank you very much. Let's finish with a little look at you as George V.
Okay.
You've got a new role, equally surprising in some ways, in which it's called a film called The Soloist.
Oh yes.
And you had to learn to play the cello to be a soloist.
Yes.
And you did it from
I wasn't
scratch.
The soloist. I was an orchestral player. I was playing the lead cellist of the LA Phil, so front desk, and I learnt it in 3 months, up to about grade 5. My very generous cello teacher told me. A woman called Caroline Dale, who I need to credit because she's absolutely brilliant.
Go Caroline Dale. Yeah. And you played it well enough to rather impress one of the conductors.
Esa-Pekka Salonen, who was, I mean, frankly, he wasn't that interested in what was going on, but he was, I fooled him enough to think that I'd done it at school or something like that,
Okay. Yeah. King, cellist, unsuccessful minister. Thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning. Thank you.